It happened during my freshman year of high school, my very first night on campus. Before I get into it, you should know, I didn't go to a regular high school. Mine was a boarding school tucked away in a rural part of Pennsylvania. I won't say the name, but it was one of those old stone-built schools with ivy climbing the walls and decades of history and rumors trapped inside. My parents had sent me there because they thought I needed discipline and focus. What I got instead was a night I still can't explain. I arrived on a rainy Sunday afternoon. The campus looked like something out of a gothic horror novel. The main dorm building, where I'd be staying, was built in the early 1900s. It had creaky wooden floors, narrow hallways, and a smell like old paper and damp carpet. My dorm room was on the third floor, room 312. The first weird thing happened before I even stepped foot inside. As the dorm supervisor, Mr. Langston, led me up the stairs, we passed a hallway that jutted off to the side. It was dark, no lights on. I noticed a metal sign above it that read, East Wing, Restricted Access. I asked Mr. Langston what it was. He didn't even look at me, just said, "That part of the building's closed. Don't worry about it," and kept walking. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just assumed it was under renovation or something, but I remember how quickly he shut me down. When I finally got to my room, it was pretty standard. Twin bed, desk, wooden wardrobe. The window looked out over the main courtyard. Nothing too creepy. I unpacked, met a couple of guys from the same floor, and went to dinner. It wasn't until lights out that things got strange. At this school, they enforced a strict curfew. Lights out by 10 p.m., no roaming the halls. Doors were supposed to be locked from the inside, and hall monitors would patrol every hour. That first night, I had a hard time sleeping. Nerves, I guess. Everything was new. Around 1 a.m., I was still wide awake, staring at the ceiling. That's when I heard footsteps. But not from the hallway, these were inside my room. I shot up in bed, heart pounding. There was no one there. The room was completely dark, but I could see outlines. The desk, the wardrobe, my suitcase, all untouched. I convinced myself it was the building settling or something. Maybe I'd imagined it. But then I heard it again. Step, step, step. Right by my bed. I turned on the flashlight I kept by my pillow and swept the beam across the room. Nothing. Just silence. I got up, checked the door. It was still locked. Then I looked at the floor by the bed. The carpet was flattened, like someone had been standing there for a while. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, I asked the guys on my floor if they'd heard anything weird. Most just shrugged or laughed it off. Except for one kid. Liam. He was a junior, quiet, always wore headphones. He waited until the others had left, then pulled me aside and asked, "You're in 312, right?" I nodded. He looked uncomfortable, like he wasn't sure if he should say what he was thinking. Then he told me that last year, a kid named Elijah had that same room. About a month into the school year, he went missing. Just vanished in the middle of the night. No sign of him. No explanation. They said he ran away, but Liam didn't believe it. Neither did a lot of other students. "Check the East Wing," he whispered. "People hear things from there at night. Voices. Sometimes. Scratching." I thought he was just messing with me. But later that night, I decided to stay awake, just to see what happened. Everything was quiet until around 2 a.m. That's when I heard it again. Those same slow footsteps in my room. I stayed frozen under the covers, barely breathing. Then something knocked on my closet door. 3 slow knocks. I sat up, flashlight shaking in my hand, and aimed it at the wardrobe. Nothing. I walked over, pulled open the door, nothing inside but my clothes. But when I reached up to touch the top shelf, my hand brushed something cold and wet. I yanked it down and shined my light on it. It was a folded piece of notebook paper. There were only 3 words written on it. Help. East Wing. My stomach dropped. I didn't sleep again that night. The next day, I showed the note to Liam. He looked scared. He told me, "That's Elijah's handwriting. I've seen it before. I asked how that was even possible. If Elijah disappeared last year, how could a note in his handwriting end up in my closet? Liam didn't have an answer, but he told me the East Wing used to be part of the old dorms before a fire in the 80s. The school sealed it off after a few students died. Some say they still hear them at night. That night, I made the dumbest decision of my life. I decided to sneak into the East Wing. I waited until around 2:30 a.m. when the halls were quiet and slipped out of my room. The hallway was pitch black. I used the flashlight on my phone and made my way toward the metal door marked East Wing, restricted access. To my surprise, it wasn't even locked, just slightly ajar, like someone forgot to close it. The moment I stepped inside, the air changed. It was colder, dusty. The walls were cracked, and the lights overhead flickered dimly. I walked slowly, checking each room. Most were empty. Abandoned classrooms, broken desks, moldy walls. But then I heard it. A faint voice, whispering, "Help me." It was coming from down the hall, from a door that looked newer than the others. A small plaque above it read "Storage." I pushed it open. Inside was a single chair, a table, and a dusty mirror. Nothing else. But when I looked in the mirror, I swear to you, I saw someone standing behind me. I turned around. No one was there. But the mirror still showed a reflection. A boy, maybe my age. Pale, wearing a torn school uniform. He mouthed the words, "Don't trust them." Then the mirror shattered. I bolted out of there, sprinting back down the hall. But as I turned the corner, the door to the East Wing slammed shut behind me. I was trapped. I banged on the door, shouting for help. Nothing. Then I heard the footsteps again. But this time, they were running, coming toward me. I turned just in time to see a figure sprinting out of one of the side rooms. I don't know what it was, maybe a student, maybe not. But its face was wrong, like it was blurred, smudged. It tackled me to the ground and whispered something in my ear. "He's still here." Then it vanished. When I came to, I was lying on the floor outside the East Wing, back in the regular hallway. It was morning. The door was wide open, and Mr. Langston was standing over me with a furious look. They suspended me for a week for breaking school policy and entering restricted areas. I didn't care. Before I left, Liam slipped me a photo. It was a class picture from the year before. In the back row was Elijah, and standing next to him was Mr. Langston. Same guy who told me not to worry about the East Wing. Same guy who found me outside it. I don't know what really happened in that part of the building, or how Elijah's note ended up in my closet. But I never went back to that school, and every so often I still dream about that cracked mirror and the boy inside it, still mouthing the same warning. Don't trust them.